Hey, what's up? I'm Guy. That's John. And this is our YouTube channel. Subscribe and give this video a like.
We also have a podcast, Haberman and Middlecoff. That's us, down below in the description.
Oh, yeah. And you're you. We're glad you're here. Today we're talking about NFL Coach of the Year odds. What jumps out to you, Middlecoff? Kyle Shanahan in there at fourth right now with, guess who? Bill Belichick leading the charge.
Well, when you look at Kyle, you go, they went 13-3 last year, Guy. It's going to be hard to have a better season. And he did not win the award last year. Now, Harbaugh went 14-2 and beat Kyle. Now, the game was in Baltimore. But as we talked before we hopped on here, I think they have the right guy at the top of the list because his bar, where typically Super Bowl or bust for Bill Belichick and the Patriots, is now he goes 10-6 with Jared Stidham. What would Kyle Shanahan, if he goes 10-6, Jared Stidham, even if the Bills win 11 or 12 games and win the division, I think Belichick would get a ton of credit. What would Kyle have to do? Because if you went 12-4, you went, well, you won one less game the year before.
Yeah, I think Kyle. I think it's going to be really hard for him to win. Now, I think what he's got going for him is he's got momentum. He's viewed as a star. I think people come into the year kind of wanting to vote for him. But like you said, Bill's at the top for good reason. Arians is there for good reason. This award does not go to guys who have momentum by and large. If you look at the last 10 Coach of the Year award winners, of those 10 guys right there, you've got John Harbaugh, who was 9-7 the year before he won it. Nagy, that was his first year, but the Bears were 5-11 the year before. McVay, that was his first year, but they won 4 games the year before. Garrett was 13-3, coming off a 4-win season. Okay, Rivera was 15-1. They won 7 games the year before. Arians was 11-5 after a 10-win season. So Arians in 14 was coming off 10 wins. Rivera in 13, that was his third year. They won 12 games. They'd been 6 wins, 7 wins. Arians, throw that out. That was a unique year, right? 9-3. Chuck Pagano actually gets all 9 of those wins. Jim Harbaugh was 13 wins off 6, and Belichick was 14 wins off 10. So of the 9 guys there that I would say kind of are normal, I would put the first Arians win aside. 7 of them were coming off bad years.
We'll go back to the odds of the guys this year. 2 guys stood out to me. One, does Sean McDermott at 18-1, if he wins 12 games and wins the division, he was a playoff coach last year, and with Brady being gone, would he get the credit? I mean, I know he would get credit, but I'm just saying, would there be enough momentum to win?
I think he's got some of the same Shanahan momentum thing going for him. Yeah, I mean, I would say you could argue the Bills and the Niners right now are 2 teams that get talked about. I mean, it's not an argument. They are 2 teams that get talked about the most. We could argue, do they get talked about the most? They might. NFL.com did something the other day. I don't remember what the point of it was, but the only answer was Bills and Niners. I don't know if it was like your sleeper team or whatever the list was, but I mean,
well,
sleeper,
I think 2 guys that Fangio was in his first year last year, went 7-9. If they go 10 or 11 wins and they're a wild card team with this first year really quarterback, I think he'd get a lot of credit. And Frank, while they had a good year 2 years ago, last year debacle, Luck being gone. If Rivers looks good, he's the guy calling the plays.
Yeah.
I think he would get a lot of credit. You look at this list, Guy, the narratives, I think, play a huge role in MVPs and Coach of the Year. Like you say, where you start. It's not just you can have a 12-win season, but it go, well, you want to like Andy Reid. What would Andy Reid have to do to win Coach of the Year? 16-0 probably, right? I mean, seriously. I would say minimum 15 wins for him to like have a legit shot. So and I think Kyle is kind of close in that little realm. That's why, to me, Belichick's right to be the favorite.
Because his bar is low.
Because his bar got lower. I think Arians, if you like the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, which they should be pretty good, I don't think his bar is like, they went 7-9 last year. I don't think he could win 10 games and win it. Now, if he wins 12 or 13, he would be in the mix, right?
So my 3 favorites, and I'll go back to this list, John. The average.
I love Fangio though. I like the Fangio.
Really?
As a low valued kind of sleeper.
Okay. At 2,200, I'd rather have Frank Reich at plus 2,000 because this group right here, not counting Arians in 2012, Their average wins the year before they won the award was 7. So if we just went to guys that won 7 games last year, it'd be Arians, Frank Reich, Adam Gase, John Gruden, Fangio, and Dan Quinn. So
Stefanski'd be, to me, a borderline lock if they make the playoffs.
yeah, Stefanski's right there too.
Would you say, like, he's the one guy? Flores probably too, but Flores is not making the playoffs. Stefanski, if you went, Browns win 10 or 11 games and are in the playoffs first time in 18 years, you'd feel good about him being a top 3 vote. Depending on how it looked, you'd have a shot.
Yeah, and they won 6 games last year, and I think why it's a little bit relevant to say 7 is about the sweet spot is like you're not good enough to win an award at 7 wins, but you're good enough to maybe be pretty good the next year. I'm with you on Cleveland. I would put Stefanski and Belichick as 2 guys whose bar is a little low. Like Arians can't win 10 games and win the award.
No, I'm with you. That's what I'm saying. He has to be 12.
Yeah.
If you wanted to do a bold strategy like a flyer and wanted to double down,
Cliff,
you could go Kyler Murray MVP, Cliff Kingsbury Coach of the Year, right?
Yeah, you could.
Because if I told you Kyler wins the MVP, you go, well, they're probably in the playoffs. That means he would have. I think they won 6 games, maybe it was 5. Like they weren't even to the 7 threshold. You would double down. If you like Kyler Murray to be an MVP sleeper, which some people do, right? The last 2 years, a second-year quarterback, a second-year starter. Well, yeah, I guess Mahomes actually won it his first year starting, second year in the league. Lamar, second year in the league, but it was a second year starting. That would be, you'd have to package it together to get your value.
I like that because Cliff would get a ton of credit with Kyler.
Or I think you could do the McDermott. Well, the Bills have already proven they don't need Josh Allen to be an MVP candidate to make the playoffs.
How about Vrabel?
A little in the Kyle realm. He was in the AFC Championship last year. Like he beat the Patriots and the Ravens on the road in the playoffs. So I think his bar is pretty high, right?
Yeah. For this reason, John, I don't think Shanahan's great. I think Shanahan, of course, he could win the award. I don't think he's great value though, as fourth in the odds here to win the award, right? I went back and looked. I went through every single year. No coach has ever, and this is not just in the Super Bowl era, going back to 1955 in the NFL championship era, no coach has ever won the Coach of the Year award coming off a Super Bowl appearance, win or loss. It's never happened. And he didn't do it with 11 wins. Like you said, he did it with 13 wins. Now, that's under the assumption that you have to top the year before in order to win the thing. It's going to be, their year last year was so perfect. Their regular season was so good. I just don't see it.
Listen, I root for bald people, and he seems like a solid coach. But Brian Flores is getting more credit for 4 wins than any coach in NFL history. The way he's talked about, you're like, oh, Flores, that guy, what he's doing in Miami, woo! It's like, guys, he went 4-12. Now, I get he won 3 of his last 5 games, and part of the NFL for non-playoff teams is momentum, right? It's how you finish because that's how we remember you. Like, because once the playoffs start, you're just kind of out of sight, out of mind. But are you like those odds? That's crazy. I guess he's just way too. To me, 2 guys that aren't on this list that I think you'd have to keep an eye on would be Tomlin 8-8 if they were to win the division this year and Roethlisberger's healthy, and Gruden. You would just say 4 wins, 7 wins. If he could get to 11 or 12 and they're a playoff team, really the second time in the playoffs in 20 years, you'd have a pretty good shot.
Yeah, I mean, 10 wins puts him in the conversation.
This is a tough award to pick.
Well, because sometimes it's weird. Like you look through the history. There are some coaches that have won the award that, I mean, Ron Rivera. We love Ron Rivera on this show. He's won it as many times as Belichick.
Yeah, to me, this Kyle will win one. This doesn't feel like
agreed.
Given what he just did, like you said, coach. You said a coach, win or lose, has never won the Coach of the Year after he went to the Super Bowl. Yeah, I think that won't change this year.
Or the NFL championship. I'm looking at you, Weeb Eubank.
Did Eubank pretty good coach?
Yeah, I think it was Y.A. Tittle's coach. No, probably.
Did the Niners steal?
No.
Oh, was that a Niner guy?
No, he was. Y.A. Tittle was. He was a Colts coach.
I was going to say Namath, but it would have been Unitas.
Yeah, maybe it was Unitas' coach.
But I thought,
that would make some sense.
But I thought, didn't Don Shula coach Unitas?
I don't think he was the only one. By the way, I'm glad you said that. This award doesn't have a name, right? This should be the Don Shula Award.
How many times he won the award?
That's a good question.
Put you on the spot there.
Couple.
I'd guess like 5. Yeah.
I'll tell you.
He won a lot.
Shula won it 72, 68, 67, 64.
So never after 72?
Yeah, if you want to look at it that way. You're saying he got hosed between 72 and retirement?
Well, I'm just saying he coached till 95, so he went from 73 to 95, no awards.
Yeah.
Was he living off reputation?
No, he wasn't, because he only had 2 losing
RIP.
seasons.
Yeah. I know, he kept winning.
All right, on that note,
like the video.
let us know what you think in the comments below.